Welcome back to Athletic Everyday, day number 346. On the agenda today, working up to some heavy singles in the weightlifting so I could make kind of like a mock training total. So, 3 singles in the snatch. Again, not maxing out. There is a slight difference between going for a heavy single and actually maxing out. I'd say that a single is more akin to something like a 90 to 95% 1RM, whereas a max is obviously, trying to increase your 1RM or either at least equal it or to try and increase it. So that's an important distinction to make for those of you that aren't aware. There is a difference, but yeah, heavy singles are not the same as maxing out. So why not just max out? Well, it's very fatiguing, and it can also, if you're trying to max out once every 2 weeks, so I'm doing this, heavy 3 sets of 1 heavy singles, or however many sets of 1 heavy singles every 2 weeks. If you're trying to max out every 2 weeks, then that will take its toll on your body. And, I'm not Bulgarian. And if those of you who don't know the Bulgarian system, they basically just max out every single day. Heavy clean and jerk, heavy snatch, and then a heavy front squat. And then they do it like several times a day, which is absolutely insane. But, that type of training, very, very high intensity, sort of moderate to low volume training, does take its toll on your body, and you need to vary the intensity and the volume. So 1 week of my weightlifting programming is a bit higher volume, slightly lower intensity, sort of like moderate to high intensity. And then another week of my weightlifting program, which is more or less this week that's coming to the close now, is higher intensity and lower volume, hence the heavy singles or doubles in a lot of the movements. So that's basically the reasoning behind why you would want to do singles, or you'd want to work up to heavier singles in the weightlifting movements to get you used to moving heavier weights, because doing a snatch for a triple with a sub-maximal load versus doing a heavy single with a snatch with obviously an appropriate weight are 2 completely different movements. For one, it's 3 reps versus 1. Doing a single rep with a snatch with a heavy weight is a completely different movement. The bar speed is different. Your technique is going to change. Well, it's going to want to change, but you have to try and keep it as similar as possible, because otherwise you're going to miss the lift. Or you're going to, compensate in some way that's going to mean that you don't make the lift. So it's important to do both kinds of training. You need to get your reps in with the volume so that you can, improve the technique and just build up a very strong foundation and base of doing the movements and improve at them. And then at the same time, you also need to regularly go for heavy singles or doubles, very, very low volume or higher intensity movements of this, or variants of the snatch and clean and jerk, in order to be able to make sure that you can lift heavier weights. That's the progress. That's the name of the game when it comes to weightlifting. So today with a snatch, I always do my classic warm-up complex, which is a no foot, no contact snatch to really drill, making sure that bar path is nice and straight. And then I follow that up with I start with a muscle snatch, just pulling from the floor, trying to pull as high as I can. And I go as heavy as I can with that, and the same thing with the no foot, no contact snatch, and then I'll just go for singles with the regular snatch. Those 2 drills work for me specifically. Obviously, you could try doing this before going for a heavy single and maxing out in the snatch, but I'd recommend doing something that's a bit more specific to you with regards to your weaknesses and technique and your form. So what you're seeing here is, I believe, first set making 90, which is pretty good. Interestingly enough, there was a guy that came by. I don't know if it was this set, maybe the next one. He lives upstairs, and he basically was like, "Are you the guy that keeps banging the weights downstairs?" Because the weight there he is. The weight reverberates, and obviously I had to make the lift while he was watching, because that's what it is. So I made the 90 while he was watching. This is all 90 kilos here. We had a chat basically where I was saying well, okay, I just won't drop the weights then. I'll just lower them without making too much of a noise. That reminds me of back in COVID when Clarence Kennedy was lifting his apartment and he put up the world's quietest 150 kilo snatch. So he was basically lowering it to the hang position and then dropping it very, very quietly, or lowering it very quietly, softly to the floor. So that put a little bit of a interesting note on the rest of the workout, because it's I can't drop this weight loudly, so I have to try and lower it. So how heavy can I actually go? Can I increase my single from last time, from 2 weeks ago, with only lowering the weight with soft form, I guess you could sort, or lowering to the, in the case of the clean and jerk, lowering to the front rack position, then lowering to the hang, or in the snatch, just lowering straight from the overhead position into the hang. And I think I did pretty well, actually. So 2 weeks ago, I managed to get 90 kilos for a single and a snatch. And for the clean and jerk, I managed to get 110 kilos. Elbows were a little bit soft, I'm not going to lie, but it's training total. I'm not trying to compete in weightlifting anytime soon. I really just want to do this myself, see how heavy I can get in the weightlifting movements. I'm trying to lock out my elbows as much as I can, and I'm working on it, but I'm not going to beat myself up crazily and not give myself a total because I didn't lock up my elbows in the most perfect way possible. That being said, this week for the snatch, 92.5 kilos for that heavy single. Probably could have gone a little bit heavier, maybe up to 95. But I'm not in a rush. I'm quite happy just increasing 2.5 kilos every couple of weeks until I've sort of reached like the strength limit or the form limit, where my form or my strength is kind of holding me back, and then I'm gonna switch up the programming. But I think for the time being, this is working now, and I made 92.5 quite comfortably for the snatch, and then for the clean and jerk, 112.5 also pretty darn comfortably as well. Maybe not in the jerk too much, but the clean was super duper comfortable. Felt really nice on the clean. All these front squats are definitely paying off. So I'm really happy about that. So from 2 weeks ago till now, my training total has gone from 200 kilos to 205 kilos. Obviously, it's not going to trend 5 kilos extra for forever. That would be really good. In a couple of years, I'd be totaling 500 kilos and being Lasha Talakadze. That's obviously not going to happen. But I do think that working is kind of like a step loading mechanism where you just increase the weight week on week and just do the same number of sets and reps. I think that there is a lot of benefit to doing that because your body gets used to it and then you can just gradually improve. So here is, I believe, the last single. Pretty decent on the clean. The jerk was probably not the best, but yeah, this is probably the best single of the day for me, 112 kilos. Let's see how the jerk looked. I always struggle when I do the first dip, when I do like my first breath in, because I'm like, how long do I hold it? Do I need to take another breath in? But hey, you know what? I'm giving myself that, lowering it gently as well. Pretty darn good. Anyway, that is pretty much it for me today, guys. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay athletic.